Okay, thinking of playing October War, Tactical Combat, Armored Combat, and Yom Kippur Conflict. Okay, I definitely feel like I was getting off track last time, so let me get back on track. Doing a little bit of regrouping and more deliberate reading of the main rules section for observation and combat. Yeah, I figured out a bit of my problem. So, having played the game a little bit a few years ago, I thought that I was going to, I thought that I would remember most of the rules. So I thought I would slide back into play here very easily. That was not the case. Actually, quite the opposite. I think I forgot most of the rules. But, yeah, I didn't remember much at all. So that's that. I need to adjust my mental frame here and think in terms of I'm starting all over again, so to speak. Okay. Now, having said that, I definitely, at this point, I'm going to say what I concluded last time. And that is, if I'm going to play Desert War and I'm going to play the Arab-Israeli Wars, this is pretty much always a game that I'm going to enjoy pulling out and playing. Now, I'm not a fan of Desert Warfare, not a big fan of the Arab-Israeli Wars, but if I'm going to play that, and I do, want to take a look at that piece of history and the tactical setting of Desert Warfare from time to time. So yeah, that's that. So let's see. As far as observation goes, right now I'm thinking that that there isn't like an observation phase where observation status changes. I guess it's whenever units are moving, whenever units are firing. When observation situations are met or conditions are met, then status changes, which again is just simply flipping the unit over from its blank side to its information side. Okay. So this is everything that happened in this first direct fire phase. So the Syrians, do I have that right? So this is the Battle of Gamala, October 6th, 1973. Yeah, Syrians. Okay. So these two Syrian T-62 platoons fired at the top platoon there, which is a Centurion platoon, which, by the way, I'm no expert in the whole math, but I think I see now why you might want to distribute your fire. So even though I had both platoons fire at the top one, I think it might be slightly better tactically to have one fire at one. So one of the T-62 platoons at one of the Centurion platoons, and the other T-62 platoon at the other Centurion platoon. But anyways, it's not how I did it at first. They missed both times. Now what they need to do, let's take a look at the CRTs, because I did think about getting them on camera. Okay, so these are printed on the map. Let me just show what's involved with, since this was all, the same kind of combat. So to start off with, we had the T-62 platoon firing at the Centurion platoon target there. Okay, so it's actually pretty easy, but I really like it as well. Okay, so range is 12, which is at the max range of the T-62s. Centurions have the same range of 12, but 12 range, so you look here for range in hexes, it says 12 to 15 here, so you're in the 12 to 15 row. Now, firing at hard target, the T-62s are firing at the Centurions, which are hard because their defense value of 13 is bracketed. So you know firing at hard target using weapon class of the T-62 is the S. Of course, the Centurion's the same, but T-62 is S. So you go to the S column, firing at hard target with the S weapon class. At range 12 to 15 is -7. So you're going to take the attack value of the attacker, 15, minus range attenuation for, was that 8? 8. Then you're going to subtract the defensive value of the target. So 8 minus 13, is -5, or whatever. Yeah, -5. Okay. And then you're also going to adjust for terrain, which we don't have in this case. And terrain, is there another one? Terrain and, yeah, I can't remember if there's not. Those are the main ones, though. So then, terrain. Well, terrain is a die roll modifier, actually. Oh, that is significant. Combat die roll adjustment. Oh. Okay. Okay. All right, but that's the base. That's the range attenuation table, attack strength, defense strength. Then, all right, then you're going to come over here to the actual CRTs, and you have for anti. Yeah, I don't know what they call it, but for anti-tank, anti-armor combat, we have the 3 CRTs. Over here is the anti-personnel combat result table, but you have a full strength D1, or actually D-1, and D-2 CRTs. So it's a full strength T-62 platoon. If it were a T-62 platoon at D-1, you'd use this CRT, and if it was D-2 like that, you would use this CRT. But it's full strength, which means no D marker at all. So you go up here. There was -5 as the attack superiority, which is less than the leftmost column of -3, which means a 1 in parentheses. Now they're all parentheses 1, which means that when the attacker rolls, it doesn't matter, doesn't have to roll, because 1 through 6 is still a parenthesized 6 result. So it's an unnecessary roll. Parenthesized 6 means that the defender, so the Israeli player, rolls. And if they get a 1 or less, or whatever that number is or less, they get a D-1 result. So that is, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. So all of that came back pretty quickly, actually, once I went through that. So what happened was, what actually happened in our example is that the first, the Syrian attack got 2 misses. 2 misses. Then they can only fire once per game turn normally. I think there are a couple of exceptions, but normally it's just 1 attack for the whole turn, so therefore I use my own markers to mark them. Since I do think for the rest of the turn, I need to know that they have already fired. Okay. Then the... that's why it makes a difference about the attacking, because there's only 1 target. So in my case, I had both of these Syrian platoons here attack the top Israeli target there, which means that they were attacked one after the other. But if you separate your attacks, you're going to do one of your attacks, 1 platoon to 1 platoon, and then the Israelis get to do the same. So yeah, so it does actually make a difference whether you choose to do 1 target in the target hex, or if you want to distribute your fire. Okay. Anyways, the Centurions fired back, and it was actually, I mean, it's slightly better odds, but at this maximum range, it's actually the same column. So they did not get hits. Then the Syrian player passed because I don't think they have. I checked a few units in the Syrian line here, but I didn't find any other. I didn't quickly find another unit to fire. So the Syrian side passed. Then it went back to the Israelis, and the Israelis fired. Actually, they did one at a time. I wasn't even really thinking about it, but I did do one at a time. But it didn't matter because the Syrians had already passed. Now, I do need to figure out in this game, when you pass, are you done for the turn, or can you pick up again if you have another opportunity? Okay, I don't know what the answer to that is, but in any case, there were no more Syrian firers. So then I did one Centurion platoon here. It's also max range of 12 hexes. And they actually got, so again, the attacker in all these, because it's the same column on that CRT with all parenthesized 1 results, it's only the defender rolling. And so in this case, the Syrian player did roll a 1. So we do have our first loss. Yes, we did have our first loss, so it was the second target, so that's marked with a D-1. So now this platoon has 2 combat effective tanks in it. So there, first losses of the battle.